शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुर्गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। I first of all thank Indic Academy for this opportunity, that every year that I am given this opportunity to explore some of the works from of Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya. So today I wish to explore the discussion on the nature of Jiva from the Brahma Sutras. So in the Brahma Sutras, second Adhyaya's third Pada, the 11th Adhikarana is Ātmādhikaraṇa. So before going to Ātmādhikaraṇa, I wish to even explore the essence of the previous Adhikarana, that is the Charachara Vyapashrayadhikarana. So in the third Pada of the second Adhyaya in the Brahma Sutras, it starts with the discussions related to the Panchabhutas, whether how they are they eternal in nature, or are they being created by the Brahman, and etc. So the cosmology, that is the creation and even the destruction of these principal elements, have been discussed until now. So therefore, after that, related to Jiva, the discussions related to Jiva come in place. So wherein, so the Bhashya starts for the Charachara Vyapashrayadhikarana, Staha Jivasyapi Utpatti Pralayau, Jato Devadattaha, Mruto Devadattaha, Ityevan Jatiyakat, Laukika Vyapadeshat, Jatakarmati Samskara Vidhanacha, Itisyat Kasyachit Bhrantihi. So now, until now, as we have discussed about the 5 elements, so similarly, even it seems that even Jiva is also subject to creation and destruction. Why? Because we have this Laukika Vyavahara. So in the common discourse, we have the expressions such as Jato Devadattaha, Mruto Devadattaha. That is, the Devadatta was born and Devadatta died. So Devadatta here means any person. So he's born, a person is dead, and etc. And not only that, even we have the Shodasa Samskaras like Jatakarma, which are actually to Jiva itself. So therefore, it seems that even similar to the Panchabhutas, even Jiva is also subject to creation. It is Syat Kasyachit Bhrantihi. So these kind of misconceptions can come. So therefore, tam apanudamaha. So we now refute this misconception about the creation of Jiva. Na jivasya utpatti pralayau staha shastra phala sambandhopapatte. So Jiva does not truly have birth or death. Why? Because shastra phala sambandhopapatte. So shastrena yat phalam. Now the in the shastras we do find that swargakamo yajeta. So to attain Swarga, you have to do Somayaga, or to achieve this particular outcome, you have to do particular ritual or particular karma. So there are certain outcomes or fruits or phalas which are not going to happen in your lifetime, but they are going to be only after your life in this particular loka. So if Jiva is subject to creation, then these kind of injunctions that we find in the Shastra, in the Vedas, cannot be applicable. So therefore, if Jiva was perishable, so the promise of moksha is also not possible. and even the promise of the being, able to attain certain phalas after the death in this particular loka are also not possible, because Svarga cannot be attained while we are living, while we are in this janma. That can only happen in the next janma. So therefore, it is not possible that Jiva is subject to creation. शरीर अनुविनाशिनि जीवे शरीरांतरगत इष्ट अनिष्ट प्राप्ति परिहारार्थौ विधि प्रतिषेधौ अनर्थकौ स्याताम्. So if Jiva were to be perishable like the body and not continuing beyond the body, that is the external body, then all the vidhi and nishedha, that is the injunctions and prohibitions aimed at avoiding future pain, that is sharirantaragata anishta prapti anishta parihara ishta prapti. So anything, so we do not do certain papa karma in this life, seeking that if I do something wrong in this papa karma in this life, I may have to again experience the outcome of this papa karma in the next life. So therefore you avoid, right? Anishta parihara and ishta prapti. You do certain things which are good or which are punya karma, seeing or seeking good result in the next janma. So therefore all these vidhi pratishedho and all the injunctions and the prohibitions by the Shastras aimed at not only this current life, but for the future life also, will all be meaningless if the Jiva was to be, if Jiva has to be perishable like the body. Not only that, even Shruti also says that Jiva petam vava kiledam mriyate na jivo mriyate. So Jiva petam vava kila idam mriyate. So even when the Jiva departs this body, indeed the body dies, not the Jiva. Jivo kila idam mriyate, Jiva petam idam shariram mriyate. This external body that gets perished, not the Jiva, na jivo mriyate. Then how does this laukika vyavahara like jato devadattaha and mrito devadattaha nanu laukikaha janma marana vyapadesho jivasya darshitaha. So I've clearly stated that the laukika vyavahara is such that a person is born and a person is dead. How do you actually explain these kind of expressions? Satyam darshitaha bhaktastvesha jivasya janma marana vyavadeshaha. So all this expressions related to birth and death are not related to Jiva, but I mean they are not literally that we have to take, but they are figurative, bhakta. So they are figurative. So then how do you actually explain? Then who is actually subject to creation and who is perishing? So kimashrayah punarayam mukhyaha yadapekshaya bhaktaha iti. If you have to say it is bhakta or figurative, then something is actually literal. Literal. You have to show what is literal and what is figurative. So the primary mukhya ashrayaha. So how do you actually kimashrayah punarayam mukhyaha? So what is actually this expression is actually referring to primarily? So then the answer would be to support this, to support our association with that is charachara vyapadeshashraya. So this is actually related to the chara and achara elements. What is that? Chara and achara elements, nothing but the external body and etc. are actually being subject to these expressions. स्थावर जंगम शरीर विषयौ जन्म मरण शब्दौ स्थावर जंगमानि हि भूतानि जायन्ते च म्रियन्ते च अतस्तद्विषयौ जन्म मरण शब्दौ मुख्यौ सन्तौ तत्स्थे जीवात्मन्युपचर्येते तद्भाव भावित्वात्. So the terms like birth and death are primarily applicable to bodies that are sthavara like trees and jangama like humans and animals. So because of these things that are actually born and they are subject to death. What are born and subject to death is this thavara and the jangama shariras. That is whether it could be the immovable shariras such as trees and etc. have, or movable shariras like our shariras, or whatever the external body that we have. These are being subject to creation and destruction and not the Jiva who is in it. So the literal meaning actually will be applied to these external bodies, and the figuratively as in this body that the Jiva resides, therefore it is applicable. So we all are we all have this illusion that the Jiva is being subject to creation and destruction. Sharira pradurbhava tirobhavayorhi satoho janma marana shabdau bhavataha na asato. So birth and death are terms that are used only for things that come into and go out of its existence. So there is one thing that is there, right? So Jiva that is there. If there is nothing, I mean, if Jiva is also perishable, then what does actually stay inside the Sharira? So therefore, there is one Sat Padartha which is eternal in nature. This comes into the Sharira and goes out of the Sharira, and therefore, whenever it comes into the Sharira, the expression of birth or subject to creation is there. And whenever this leaves this Sharira, then we say that he is dead. सवा अयं पुरुषो जायमानः शरीरम् अभिसंपद्यमानः स उत्क्रमन् उत्क्रामन् म्रियमाणः इति च शरीर संयोग वियोग निमित्तावेव जन्म मरण शब्दौ दर्शितः दर्शयति. So बृहदारण्यकोपनिषत् says सवा अयं पुरुषो जायमानः शरीरम् अभिसंपद्यमानः. So when the person is being born, that is, he is taking the possession of the body, then he is said that he is born. And when he is actually sa utkraman mriyamanaha, so when he is coming out of that body, then we are saying that he is dying. So hence birth and death refer to only the union and separation of Jiva in the body. Jata karma, then how do we actually support this Jata karma and etc., the Shodasha samskaras? They happen to be to the Jiva. So then they say that Jata karmadi vidhanam api deha pradurbhavapekshameva drashtavyam abhava Jiva pradurbhavasya. So it is only Jata karma and etc. They are called as samskaras, are called as some samskaras are called as bija samskaras, some are called as garbha samskaras. Like the Pumsuvana samskara and etc., they are garbha samskaras. They are actually for the garbhashaya, and some are for the bija. So what is bija? It is the outcome of the union of Shukra and Retas, that is Shukra and the Shonitam. So egg and the sperm. So when these both are they have the union, another physical entity is being actually created in which there is Jiva. So whatever samskaras that we are doing, they are for these external elements and not for the Jiva. Jīvasya parasmād ātmanah utpattihi viyadādīnāmiva asti nāsti vetyuttara sutrena vakshyati. Why I had to explain this adhikarana is because this has a relation with the Ātmādhikaraṇa. So here Acharya says, whether the Jiva originates from Param Brahman like Akasha and etc., this will be dealt in the next sutra, that is in the Ātmādhikaraṇa sutra. So therefore, that element is being explored in the next adhikarana. Dehashrayau jitavajjivasya sthulau utpatti pralayau nastaha ityeta danena sutrena avochatu. So, but for now, in this sutra, what is clearly stated is that the sthula, I mean the gross level of birth and death of a jiva is dependent on the body and do not exist in reality. So therefore, the utpatti and vinasha, the creation and destruction, or birth and death, is related to the external body and not the jiva, has been therefore explored until now, explained until now. So this is charachara vyapashrayadhikaranam. So where charachara vyapashrayastu syat tadvyapadesho bhaktaha tadbhava bhavitvat. Charachara vyapashraya. So the chara and achara shariras are as the jiva is there in these shariras, tad vyapadeshaha. So jato devadattaha and mruto devadattaha and etc. expressions are because of that. So they are bhakta, they are figurative and not actually have to be taken literally. Tadbhava bhavitvad. Why? Because jiva is actually residing in those charachara shariras. Therefore, these kind of figurative expressions are there. So then comes the next adhikarana, which is Ātmādhikaraṇa, which is of again one sutra, Nātmā shruter nityatvachatabhyaha. So the opening discussion is Astyatma Jivakshaha Sharirendriya Panjara Adhyakshaha Karma Phala Sambandhi. So until now, it has been stated that, I mean, it is now clear that there is Atma, Jivakshaha Atma. So there is a Jiva that is indeed the form of Atman. is referred to as Jiva. Sharira, who is the presiding entity of the Sharira Indriya Panjaradhyaksha. So he presides over the Sharira and Indriya Panjaram. So Panjara is a cage. So this body, the external body, along with the sensory organs, is like a cage, and the presiding entity of this cage, called body and made of body and organs, sensory organs, is Jiva, and who is also karma phala sambandhi, and who is connected to the outcomes of karma anusthana. Whatever good or bad karma anusthana that we do, the outcomes of this, that is the papa and punya. So he is the person who is being associated with these outcomes. सकिं व्योमादिवदुत्पद्यते ब्रह्मणः आहोस्वित् ब्रह्मवदेव नोत्पद्यते इति श्रुति विप्रतिपत्तेर्विषयः. So then the question arises, does this Jiva also is produced from Param Brahma like Akasha and other elements, or he is the Brahman itself, unproduced and eternal? Ahosvit Brahmavadeva notpadyate. Is he like Brahma, who is eternal and who is not being produced in nature? So this is a subject to debate. So therefore, Shruti Vipratipatter Vishayaha, as we have a contradiction among Shruti Vakyas, so this doubt arises, and therefore in this Adhikarana we are going to explore this Samshaya. So what the Purva Paksha says is, Kasu Jachrutishu Agni Vispulingadi Darshanehi Jivatmanaha Parasmat Brahmanaha Utpatti Ramnayate. So in some Upanishads, some Shruti Vakyas declare that the origin of Jivas are from Brahman. So therefore they use the Agni Vispulinga Shruti, that is Yatha Kshudraha Vispulingaha and etc. And Kasujit Shrutishu Avikritasya parasya brahmana karya praveshena jiva bhavaha vignapyate na utpatti ramnayate. So in some Shruti we do see that he is subject to creation, that is, he is born from the Brahman. And in some Shrutis, such as Anena Jivena Atmana Anupravishya Namarupe Vyakaravani in Chandogyopanishad, or else Tameva Simanam Vidar Yetayad Dwara Prapadyata, or in the Aitareya Upanishad, we see that the Parabrahman itself, he is entering into his own creation in the Sharira, in the Sthula Sharira. So Parabrahma, he himself unchanged, is entering, and he is called as Jiva. So therefore, we have this contradiction among Shrutis, that some say that Jiva is born, and some say that Param Brahma, he is entering into the creation and is being called as Jiva. So therefore, this doubt arises whether Jiva is born from Param Brahma or not. Tatra praptam tavat. So therefore, first comes the Purva Paksha. The Purva Paksha says, Utpadyate Jiva iti. So the Jiva is born. How? Kutaha? Pratignanuparodhadeva. Because if you do not agree that Jiva is born, then the pratignanuparodha. So the pratigna, the opening statement will be contradicted. What is the opening statement or the premises, the first premises, what is the pratigna that is made by the Upanishads? Ekasmin vidite sarvamidam viditam itiyam pratigna sarvasya vastu jatasya brahma prabhavatve sati noparudhyeta tattvantaratve tu jivasya pratigneyam uparudhyeta. So in Upanishad we say Eka Vijnanena Sarva Vijnanam. So what is that entity? In Chandogya Upanishad it comes, what is that entity? If I know that, I will know everything. So that is the, so Eka Vijnanena Sarva Vijnanam Pratigna. So it is the Parabrahman that if you know, that you know everything. So this is only possible, Eka Vijnanena Sarva Vijnana Pratigna is only possible if everything is born out of Brahman. If Jiva is not born out of Brahman, or he is something else other than Brahman, then if he will become a separate entity or separate principle, and this Eka Vijnanena Sarva Vijnana Pratigna will be hindered. So therefore, in order to support this Eka Vijnanena Sarva Vijnana Pratigna, we have to agree that Jiva is also born from Parabrahman. Nata avikritaha paramatmaiva jivaha iti shakyate vijnatum. So, we can even say that, there can be a counter argument that it is not essential that Jiva has to be born out of Param Brahman, but he can be a part of Brahman. He can be avikritaha paramatmaiva. And the Param Brahma, he himself, he can be called as Jiva. So therefore, there is no pratigya uparodha. I mean, there is no problem with the pratigya that eka vijnanena sarva vijnana pratigya. Then the Purvakshi says, no, that is also not possible, because the lakshana, that is the definitions or the unique attributes of Param Brahman and Jiva, they are both different and contradicting in nature. So what is the a unique attribute of Parabrahman? The unique attribute of Parabrahman is apahatapapmatvadi dharmako hi paramatma. So Paramatma, he is niranjana, nirlepa. He is not subject to any papma, that is papa or punya. So he is avikrita swabhava, and he is not karta bhokta. So this is the unique entity, I mean unique nature of Param Brahman, whereas Jiva is totally contradict to it. He is subject to papma, so he is subject to karma phala, he is subject to dukkha, he is subject to samsara, and etc. So therefore, alpajnatva and sarvajnatva, Param Brahma is sarvajna and Jiva is alpajna. So therefore, these both entities, that is Jiva and Param Brahma, both have contradictory unique entities. So therefore, you cannot say that Param Brahma, he himself is Jiva. So therefore, we have to agree that Jiva is also born out of Parabrahma, like the Akasha. Not only that, further, explains, the Purvapakshi explains, Vibhaga chasya vikaratva siddhihi yavan hi akashadi prabhivaktaha sasarvo vikaraha tasya cha akashadir utpattis samadhikata. Not only that, that even Vibhagacha vikaratva siddhi. Further, Jiva is divided or individualized. It is because so he must be a vikara. That is, he must be an outcome, just like Akasha. And whatever is an outcome, that is a vikara. So it is subject to creation. Tasya cha akashader utpattis samadhikata. And not only that, Jiva is actually said to be after, tasmadva etasmad atmana akashas sambhutah akashad vayuh vayoragnih agnerabah adhyah prithvi prithivya oshadhya oshadhibhyonnam annat purusha. So after the creation of the Panchamahabhutas, that you see that the Purusha is being subject to creation. So therefore, you have to agree that he is creation, or he is being created by Parabrahman, or he is born out of Parabrahman. Jivatma pi punya papa karma sukadukha yuk pratishariram parivibhaktaha iti tasyapi prapanchotpatyavasare utpattar bhavitum arhati. So therefore, similarly, like Akasha, Jiva also is being actually associated with the punya papa karma and pleasure and pain, that is sukha dukkha, and also he is distinct in each body. Pratishariram pravibhaktaha, he is distinct in each body. So therefore, he should also be considered as a product, that is an outcome, and have an origin. That is, he has an origin in Parabrahman. So therefore, during the creation of the universe, like the Panchamahabhutas, even the Jiva has also been created. So this is what we have to agree. Not only that, apicha yathagnehe kshudraha visphulingaha vyuchananti evamevasmad atmanas sarve pranas sarve lokas sarve devas sarvani bhutani vyucharanti. So even this Upanishad says that as the sparks emerge from fire, so do all the pranas, all the lokas and all the bhutas are they all emerge from the Parabrahman. So therefore, it suggests that jivas are also produced from the Parabrahman. So this is the Purva Paksha. So upon this, the refutation is like evam prapte brumah na atma jivaha utpadyata iti. So Jiva is not born. Kasmat ashrutehe nahi asya utpatti prakarane shravanamasti bhuyassu pradesheshu. Because there is no scriptural, that is the Shruti explicitly stating that Jiva is born. Even in many relevant contexts. Nanu kvachida ashravanam anyatra shrutam na varayiti ityuktam. Okay, there may not be, in some places you may not have Upanishad stating that Jiva is born, but in one place if it is there, so therefore that lack of Shruti in one place, it doesn't cancel the positive Shruti elsewhere. So how can you state that, in most of the places that you don't see that Jiva is born, so therefore Jiva is not born? Satyamuktam utpattireva tvasya na sambhavati iti vadamaha. True. But we say that in the case of Jiva, birth itself is logically not possible. How? Nityatvat chatabhyah chashabdat ajatvadibhyascha. So, what is the difference between Akashadi, the five elements, and Jiva is that Nityatvat chatabhyah. So, Jiva is declared to be Nitya, that is eternal, Aja, Chashabdena with Nityatvacha. So, we have this in the Sutra. That we have Natma Shruter Nityatva Chatabhya. So there is a chakara in the sutra. So what does that denote is that with chakara there is ajatvam. That is ajatvam is not being. Avikaritvam also. That is not that is immutable, right? So all these things are the nature of the Jiva. So therefore, logically it is not possible that Jiva can be born. Nachaivam rupasyoৎpattirutpadyate upapadyate. So an entity which is eternal in nature, which is unborn in nature, which is immutable in nature, natural in nature, it cannot be actually created. Not only that, even we have many references from the Upanishads that Najivo Mriyate, that is the Jiva does not die, Ajaraha, Amaraha, Amritaha, Ajaha, he is not subject to creation, Amaraha, he is not subject to destruction, that means he does not have birth and death, Najayate, Mriyate, Va Vipaschatu, nor he does, be born, he'll take birth, have birth, nor does he die. Ajaha Nityaha Shashwataha Tadevanupravishatu. So the Parambrahman entered the creation, not that he was created. So Tadeva Anupravishatu. So the Parambrahman, he created everything and he himself has entered into that creation. So this states that he entered, he is not being created. So when he entered into this creation, he is being called Jiva. So therefore, he is not different from Parabrahman. Jiva is not Parabrahman. So all these Upanishad references, they deny the possibility of creation of Jiva. Nanu pravibhaktatvad vikaraha. So we did tell that, he is pravibhakta, that is, he is being divided. So therefore, whoever is being divided, he has to be vikara, he has to be a modification or a subject to creation. So therefore, he says atrochyate nasya pravibhagaha swataha asti. So the division which we are calling now, it is not real. It arises only due to the the association with the upadhis. That is, whether it could be Sharira, Indriya. So therefore, without an Upadhi, you cannot distinct Jiva from Parambrahma. Or, the Linga Sharira, the entities of Linga Sharira and etc. Or Ajnana. So there should be some Upadhi. That is the limiting, entities, based on which you can actually create a distinction between Jiva and Parambrahma. Without them, there is no distinction between Jiva and Parambrahma. Just like, the Akasha can only be divided if there is an entity or an Upadhi like the pot or anything, Ghatakasha, Mathakasha, whatever we say. So there we need an entity to actually divide it. But naturally it is not possible. So similarly, even Jiva cannot be naturally or inherently is different or unique from Parambrahman. Sava apahatapapma brahma vijnanamaya. Even the Upanishad teaches that Parambrahman, though essentially, Brahman appears as if consisting various faculties like mind, sense organs, etc., due to the Upadhis association. Tanmayatvancha Strimayo Jalma Ityadivat Drashtavyam. Tanmayatvam, what is Ayam Atma, Brahma Vijnanamaya, and etc., whatever the Panchakosha Prakriya, wherever we see, we have the word Mayat Pratyaya. So what does that mean? It shows only the association with them, apart from Anandamaya, only the association with these entities. If you say Annamaya, the association with Anna is being actually said, like Strimayo Jalma iti. So Strimayaha means a person who is a womanizer, right? Or Jalmaha is a person who is greed. So it only shows that the Strimayaha doesn't mean that he is a form of female. A person normally, naturally a male cannot be a female, right? So therefore, What does that mean, Strimayaha? That actually shows the association with female. So similarly, here also the association with the upadhis is what is intended. So therefore, without the association with the upadhis, we cannot actually distinctively know who is a jiva. यद्यपि क्वचिदस्य उत्पत्ति प्रलय श्रवणम उपाध्युपात उत्पत्त्या अस्योत्पत्तिः. Okay, you see, even though in some of the scriptural mention jiva's origin and dissolution, they must be understood as referring to the origin and dissolution of the upadhis. If the sharira is born, then we are saying that the jiva is born. If the sharira is dilapidated and if it is subject to death, then we say that the person is also dead. The jiva is also dead. Prajnana ghana evaitebhyo bhutebhyah. So even the Brihadaranyaka says that he rises from the elements and merges back to them. So prajnana ghana evaitebhyo bhutebhyah utpadyate. So while at the time of creation, jiva emerges from prajnana ghana and also again dissolutes into the in Parambrahman itself. Tasmat naiva atma utpadyate praviliyate cheti. So therefore, jiva is neither born nor does perish. So therefore, this is the Advaita Siddhanta of the nature of jiva. So therefore, jiva is also eternal in nature. He is not different from Parambrahman, because the fundamental axiom of Advaita Siddhanta is Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. So Jiva is Parabrahma. So how do you differentiate Jiva from Parambrahma in the Laukika Vyavahara? It is only based on the Ajnana, the Purva Samskaras, the Vasanas, and the Upadhis. Essentially, these are all Ajnana, the Linga Sharira, the Sthula Sharira. All these Upadhis actually only are making the differentiation between Ishvara and Jiva, but eternally or Tatvika Drishti, from the Tatvika point of view, Jiva is not different from Parabrahma. So this is what the Ātmādhikaraṇa has to say about the nature of Jiva. The Avasthatraya, I mean, in order to identify these Upadhis, so one thing would be the Avasthatraya and the Shariratraya, which help us to understand what are these upadhis. So we have three shariras, that is the three types of bodies that Vedanta keeps alluding about. That is the Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira. So Sthula Sharira is essentially our external body, which is made out of the all 9 dhatus, and which is very much and Sukshma Sharira is made out of 16 elements, the Pancha Jnanendriyas, Pancha Karmendriyas, the Pancha Vayus, that is Pranapana, Jnanodana, Samanas, and Manas. And the Karana Sharira is said to be the Ajnana or ignorance. So therefore, these all they come from the gross to the subtle. We can map them as gross to subtle. And in order to know them specifically, clearly, the three avasthas that we actually experience in our life will help us to understand these three upadhis. So Jagradavastha, Swapnavastha, and Sushuptyavastha. So Jagradavastha is the awakening state. Swapnavastha is the state of dream, and Sushuptyavastha is the state of deep sleep. So in which we can actually map these upadhis a bit more clearly. So what happens in Jagradavastha is that all our external body is at work. It is working very much actively. So all the muscles and all the entities of this external body are at work. When we actually sleep, what happens is this external body stops actually functioning. So at that time, if we even see, even our sensory organs are also not functioning, because whatever we see in our state, in the Swapnavastha, that is only because of our Chitta Vritti, that is the Manas is only active. All the Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, the Sthula Shariram, everything is not actually functioning at the time of Swapnavastha. So in Jagradavastha, the Upadhi is very much clear. Even though all these three Upadhis are what we call it as very much active in Jagradavastha, but in Jagradavastha, the main Upadhi is the Sthula Sharira, and in Swapnavastha, only the Manas is active. The other entities are inactive. So therefore, there we come to know the upadhi, the sukshma sharira, the main, the main entity of even sukshma sharira will be the manas, and even the pancha pranas are active. So these are again upadhis, and these also get dissolved at the time of sushupti avastha, in which only we experience two things while we actually are at deep sleep. That is ignorance, that we don't know anything, and a state of bliss that we experience, which we actually remember after having a good sleep after awakening. So these two entities, one is the ignorance, that is, ignorance is the ajnanam, is the upadhi that is there, due to which again we arise with the same type of samskaras. We sleep as a human and also again awaken as a human. Even the Upanishads have a very beautiful way of putting it, that you sleep as a human and you do not actually awaken as a mosquito, as a lion, or as a tiger, but you again awake like a human. Why? Because everything has been dissolved into ajnana, and this ajnana makes sure that whatever you were before sleeping, again you will become the same. So you emerge from that ajnana. So ajnana plays a key role for you to keeping in this samsara. So therefore, this is the main upadhi that is very much experiential for us at the time of what you call sleep, deep sleep. So these three are the upadhis, and the main, everything, as everything gets what you call submerged into the other. So the sthula sharira submerges into the sukshma sharira, the sukshma sharira submerges into ignorance, and ignorance is what actually keeps us in this samsara, and it is the main entity which actually differentiates Jiva and Param Brahma. Param Brahma is that particular entity which is not at all anywhere subject to any ignorance. But this ignorance, while this ignorance is associated, then comes the concept of Jiva. So that is why we say that the getting rid of this ignorance is very much what you call important, and that is whatever we study in Vedanta, whatever karmanusthana is being said, is to get rid of this ignorance, and where chitta shuddhi also plays a very vital role. Again, for that chitta shuddhi, karmanusthana is given to us, that is nishkama karma. So all these shravana, manana, nidhyasana and karmanusthana together are aimed at getting rid of this main upadhi, which is actually making the differentiation between Ishvara and Jiva. When this entity called Jiva, this entity gets perishes through the Advaitic experience, then the Brahma Bhava Patti which happens. So this is one.